Hey friends, my name is Wendy Tremaine and we're at Holy Scrap Hot Springs, which is a homestead and also the title of our blog where we've been writing about our homesteading experiences. So today we're here to harvest honey without using the standard honey harvesting equipment like a centrifuge. We didn't want to make that investment. We're just home scale honey producers. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to scrape the honey and the wax, collect them in these mason jars, and then place the mason jars in this crock pot at a fixed temperature, which we're using a temperature controller to control, and that'll separate out the honey from the wax, which we'll then be able to strain. Very simple. So I'm going to walk you through it. For starters, again, straining from traditional equipment, I'm using a butter knife because it's just my preference. It's what I like to work with. And I'm scraping the honey off our super with the wax and just placing it in this jar. Okay, it took me under a minute to fill this, and I'm going to place it now in the crock pot. So the probe in here is reading back the temperature. Now we're choosing a temperature of 118 degrees to hold this water at, and the reason for it is the honey becomes viscous at that temperature and naturally separates from the wax, but the most important reason is that it keeps the honey raw, so we're not getting into cooking or pasteurizing, and that's important to us. So in just a few minutes we'll check back and see it separate. Our honey's been sitting for, I don't know, maybe half an hour. The temperature controller set at 118 degrees. And I'm now taking it out and I'm going to strain it just through a simple strainer into a mason jar. You can see some of the separation already. So I'll just scoop it out. And you'll see the honey is dripping through naturally because it's been heated while the wax has not reached a temperature that turns it to liquid yet. We're reaching the end of filtering 3 pint-sized mason jars of honey from its wax. And I just want to show you some tips for how we work with this. So we've been straining, as we showed you, through this strainer into this mason jar. Works really well, and it leaves behind a lot of wax. When it gets stuck and it just doesn't seem like, a lot more is going to strain out, I dump the wax into a second strainer, and then over time, of course, this too is leaking out honey. And I'll add this honey in the bowl to the honey in the mason jar. The final stage is I'll then take this very wax-heavy material and I'll put it back in a mason jar, and I'll put it back in the water bath, and I'll let it separate one more time. And then, of course, strain the honey out again. And whatever's left after that, the clump of just mostly wax, I'll put it outside and I'll let my own bees clean it up and leave me just the wax.